Alright, so this lecture will be posted after the class this afternoon. And I'll send you all a message on Discord. And just to reiterate real quick, if you're watching this later and you don't remember what I said at the beginning, so there's going to be a couple of readings, or there's going to be a reading each week for the class. So this upcoming week, let's go to modules. This upcoming week, it's going to be reading 3 for week 3, which is going to be chapters 5 and 6. And that should say before the week 4 lecture. So this is the reading for this coming week. We're on week 3 now. So I actually will adjust that. For this week, you should have read during week 2. You should have read last week. You should have read chapters 3 and 4. If you didn't know about it, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But from here on out, if you are able to just skim the chapters, before the class, so you kind of have an idea of what's going on, it'll be helpful for you mostly, more so than for me. But it's just a good idea to do. There won't be a quiz on the reading or anything like that. Just for your own ability to understand what we're talking about better. And then today we're going to go over an exercise in chapter 3. So if you do have the book, go to page 3-2. Right, that's basically the beginning of chapter 3. And if you don't have the book, just follow along as best you can, and this will be posted so you can rewatch it later if you need to. So this is basically how, if you're on page 3-2, how the exercises in this book are set up for the most part. It'll start off with a picture of what you're going to be doing in the exercise. It'll say what tools are needed for this exercise. So there's a few different SolidWorks tools, and I'll go into a new part here. Don't mind my little nuisance messages. So it says tools needed at the beginning of the exercise, and this one says insert sketch, line, circle, relations, dimensions, and fillets, trim entities, and boss/base extrude. So those are all the tools you're going to use. It's pretty straightforward once you kind of know what they're talking about. So the insert sketch tool is just right here in the upper left corner. If you can see my screen, just hit that down arrow and sketch. That's the tool that they're talking about. The line tool is this one here. Circle is obviously the circle tool here, and so on and so forth. And we'll get to all of those during the exercise, so I'll explain them if I haven't already. So, yeah, go ahead. Let's see, I am streaming, so yeah, go ahead and refresh your screen. Are you seeing it yet? Okay. Alright, is anyone else having trouble seeing me, just to be sure that it's not a problem on my end? Oh, okay. I might be able to change that. Let's see. Oh, that's weird. Huh. Are you, Yeah, for the display, um, unfortunately, it can only use my screen display. I think it only gives me that option. So, um, okay, sorry about that. I don't want to mess with it too much because it might mess it up for other people too. So, hopefully, when you watch the video on YouTube, it'll be the video that I recorded, so you'll be able to see that fine. Um, hopefully that'll make it display a little better. Um, I'll go ahead and who was it that was having a hard time seeing it? Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and resend my link to my live stream in the chat. So hopefully hopefully I don't know if that would be the problem. I think it's yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you're using the same link you've been using, so I don't think that's the problem, but just in case. I just sent it in the chat, so. All right. Is everyone else okay? Is everyone else able to see me or? Okay. I'll take that as I'll take that as confirmation. All right. Cool. So let's see, where was I? So we're looking at the beginning of this exercise. So let's skip ahead to um page 3-4. So we're going to start a new part. I just did that. I used the sketch tool in the upper left corner. So you'll just want to go up there and just go sketch and start a new one. And then we're going to um, oh, okay, that would explain it. No worries. I'm glad you're able to see now. Um, all right. So this explains a little bit of additional detail about uh, like how to set up um your sorry, my brain is having a moment. This explains a little additional detail on how to set up for a new part. So more than what I've explained in the past. So um we're actually going to go ahead and go through this because it's kind of helpful. So you can change your scene, and that means you're basically just changing the background and how you're viewing your part. So you're going to go to the Apply Scene button, which is up here. It should be on your top little toolbar of icons there, second one from the right, and it looks like a little beach ball on a checkered floor. So hit the little down arrow, and you'll see that you've got several options here. And the book is saying to select plain white. So right now we're in 3-point faded. And as you go through them, it kind of gives you an example of what it's going to look like with a part. So you can see just the background changes there. I realize I'm pointing at my screen and you can't see me pointing at you can't see what I'm pointing at. So it's a little silly. So you've got like a reflective background here. That's what we're on right now. Plain white would just be like a matte background. The backdrop would be, it's all gray. Soft spotlight, you've got kind of, it's more brightly lit, and it's coming from a different direction, it looks like, because of the way the shadows are going. These are all just different. You can do like this funky, your part is sitting in the middle of the road, I guess, or it's sitting in a courtyard. And there's other options too. These are just what we have in our like default menu here. So we're going to go ahead and select plain white. and you can see our background color changed a little bit. And then to see the origin, so we have an origin, we can kind of see it right here, but we're going to click the View drop-down menu and select Origins. So that's up here at the very top. Next to you've got File, Edit, and then View. And you're going to go down to Origins. Let's see, where are we? Am I in the right place? I think it's in here somewhere. The book doesn't really give you a good... Here it is. So we actually have that selected right now. And I guess maybe if you don't have it selected and you can't see your origin, go in there and click on that and you'll be able to see it. I think the book is assuming that you don't have it selected as a default. Do you have, is this in your SolidWorks that you have open? Or are you saying in my stream? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, don't worry about that right now. It might be because you didn't, have you started a new sketch yet? Have you gone and clicked this sketch button right up here? Okay. Did you select a plane already? Okay, that's why it's not showing. I haven't selected a plane yet, so it's still showing the 3 that I can select. That's what this little that thing is. So yeah. All right. So we're gonna select the front plane at this point, if we haven't already. We're on page 3-6. So select the front plane from the feature manager tree. And we already actually did the start a new sketch command. So all right. I'm just making sure we haven't already done stuff. Okay, so now we're going to select the line command up here. This is really going step by step. We've kind of gone over a lot of what the book is telling us to do here. But if you click the little down arrow, you can select 3 different types of line. So far, I think we've just been using the regular line for the most part. So if you just click on it, you're just going to have like a point-to-point line. The other 2 types, if you're interested right now, you can do a center line, which is just for reference. If you add a center line to a fully defined drawing and you don't define the center line, it won't affect whether your drawing is fully defined. You can see I added this one, and I have nothing else in here right now. But even though there's no dimension on this center line, it still says fully defined in my lower right corner. So we'll go ahead and delete that because we don't need it. And a midpoint line is literally just a line that starts at the midpoint. So if I were to click and start it on the origin and start it going one way, it's going to go both ways equally. So that's helpful if you know where the midpoint of your line is, but you don't know where one or both of the ends are. You can use a midpoint line to kind of define it for you. So, oops. We'll go ahead and delete that. Alright, so for now we're just going to select the line command, the regular basic line. So that first one. And we're going to start on the origin. So hover over the origin and you'll see that little orange dot. That means that when you click on it, that's where your endpoint is going to be. And I think I exited out of line command by mistake. Okay, let's try that again. So we're going to go directly up from the origin, and there's two ways to draw a line as well. I haven't really gone over this in depth, but one way is to just click on the origin, let go, and then drag your line in whatever direction you want. And then you're going to just do a single click, left click again to release the end of the line wherever you want it. So that's one way to draw a line. The other way is to click and hold the mouse. So if I start at the origin and I clicked and I am holding down my left button as I drag the line. And if I release it, it will just release the line wherever I'd left it. So right now, you can do it however you want, but we're just going to draw a line going straight up from the origin. So you want it to be at 90 degrees from the origin. And next we're going to go directly to the right. So if you did the click and release way of drawing a line, then you'll be able to continue your line. I just messed up a little bit, but if you did the drag and hold, you have to go up and select the line tool again to start another line. So we're going to go over to the right, and I just clicked and released. I'm going to click again. I've still got my line tool here, and we're going to go back down. All right, and then we want to stop above where the origin is, where we started our first line. So right about here. And then the book explains a couple of things in here. If you read through this slowly, I'm kind of skipping over a lot. But one thing that it mentions is you can hover the cursor back over where you stopped your line, and you can do an arc instead of a line without actually going up to select the arc tool. So I can make an arc in whatever direction I want. To make it back into a line, you just hover over that point again. Well, it's still an arc. Okay. And then if you go straight out, I guess you can still do an arc. In order to make it only a straight line, you have to actually go back and start a new line. So we want this one to be horizontal anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But you'll see on page 3-9 the final shape that they want us to draw. So pretty simple, just 4 vertical posts with a horizontal base kind of looking shape. So I'll just draw that real quick so you can all see. I'm just going to keep going. And note that they didn't make any of the lines at the bottom even with each other. We don't want to make them even with each other because we don't want to add origins. We don't want to add relations that we're not like. Oops, that last line is not level. Let's try that again. So we do want all of our lines to be either horizontal or perpendicular. But we don't want them to be like even with each other. So you can see the tops of my 3 posts are uneven, and then the 2 gaps in between them. Actually, I want 4 posts. So let's I'm trying to talk and draw at the same time. It's not as easy as it may seem, but so you can see they're kind of descending in height. And then this is the last one, so this is going to be even with the origin so that we can draw a line straight across back to the origin and enclose our shape. And when you have a fully enclosed shape like this, it turns gray on the inside. So that's how you know you did it right. All right, so let's go to page 3-10, and it explains how to add geometric relations, which we've talked about, I think, a little bit, not really in class so much, but it came up in the last lab. So we're gonna add a relation. So the first step is click Add Relation under Display Delete Relations. So right here, this button, and we go to the second one down, Add Relation, and you'll see on my left side of my screen here, I've got this this box. So selected entities are the entities that you want to give relations to. So we're going to select the tops of these four little posts. So each of these horizontal lines across the top. And then we have some options for what kinds of relations we want to give them. We can make them all equal to each other in length. We can make them all parallel, which they already are parallel because they're all horizontal. We can make them all collinear, which would mean that they all come together to basically form a straight line with breaks. So it won't move them closer together, but it will put them all level with each other. It looks like my little video camera stopped working. I don't. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, no, I was just gesturing with my hands and I looked over and I realized that you can't see my hands gestures. Let me try messing with it here real quick. Try unplugging it and plugging it back in. Sometimes that works. Having lots of technical difficulties today, I guess. Okay, I got it working again. I just had to turn it off in Twitch and then turn it back on. All right, so anyway, so I was talking about making these four lines collinear. And basically that would take them all and put them on the same level. So it would all be one, like they would all be on one line. Vertical would flip them all 90 degrees, I guess, make them all vertical. So we don't want to do any of that. What we actually want to do is we want to make them all equal in length. So you'll see when I click that equal relation, they all become the same length. All right. And then we're going to click OK. And then we're going to add another relation. So we want to unselect these four lines, and we can do that just by clicking on them. And then we're going to select these three lines. So you see those three showed up in my box over here on the left. And there's two existing relations already, which are they're horizontal, and something is equal in length to something else. But it's not these lines, so I'm not sure why that's there. I'm going to delete that relation. I think that was for... I think that was for one of my top lines there, but that's okay. We'll worry about that in a minute. So we're going to make these three bottom lines collinear, and that means, like I just explained, they're going to all level with each other. There you go. And we'll click OK. All right. So I'll go through and I'll explain a couple of things I might have skipped. So we're going to go add relation. Once we're in this add relation tool, you don't need to hold down the control key or anything. You just select each entity that you want to show up in this box. So say it's these top 4 again. I'm going to just left click on each one and it'll show up in that box. And so now you see they're all in this box here on the left, this little blue box. And that's all there is to it once you're in the relation tool there. You have to click add a relation before you do that, so that you've got this menu over here showing up. And then you select whichever type of relation you want. So for those 4, it was equal. Go ahead and add that. And click OK. So this is the critical component, is clicking add a relation. If I'm not in there and I select a couple of things, like it's just going to unselect the previous one when I click the next one. Or if I hold down the control key, then I can select multiple things at once. And then it actually, if you hold down the control key while selecting those things, it actually does give you this add a relation menu over here. It shows you if there's any existing relations on them. And it gives you the option to add any of these. So, and my equal relation there is kind of showing up funky. Yeah, I don't know. That's all right. So, for now, we're just going to continue on with adding relations, I believe. So the book gives a bunch of examples. All right, I guess we're done with adding relations. We're going to go ahead and start adding the dimensions in here. So from the toolbar up here, we click Smart Dimension, and then just this first option, Smart Dimension. And we're going to click. So you'll see your mouse has this little icon next to it now. Your cursor has it's this Smart Dimension icon. So you know you've got that tool in use when you have that icon showing up next to your cursor. You can use the escape key to exit out of there, but as long as you're in the Smart Dimension tool, anything that you click on will get dimensioned. So you want to kind of be careful when you're using this that you only click on the things that you want to dimension. So first we're going to click this far left line, and then we're also going to click the one next to it because we want to add the space between the 2 lines. And we want that space to be 0.5. And one thing that's really important before we start doing this, and I'm going to escape out of that dimension tool before we add anything. So one thing that's super important is that you make sure you're using the right units of measurement. And for this exercise, we want to be using inches, or IPS, inch, pound, second. And the way you select your units is you go down to this lower right corner, and right now you can see it's MKS, which is meter, kilogram, second. If you're drawing something, you do it in meters, and you meant to do it in inches, it's going to come out way bigger than you wanted. So you got to be really careful, because after you've modeled an entire part, it's a lot harder to scale it to the dimensions you want than it is to just start with the right dimensions, right units of measurement in the first place. So we want IPS, so let's make sure we select that before we start dimensioning. And when you change your units of measurement, you'll see what it just did. Everything turned gray. It will exit out of the sketch that you're working on because it's changing the units for the entire file, not just that one sketch. So we have to go back to our sketch over here in the feature manager tree and just left click, and you'll see this little box pop up and it's got all these icons in it. That first one there on the top left is edit sketch. So you just click that and it puts you back in your sketch. So now we're using the right units. We're back in our sketch. So we're going to go ahead and start dimensioning. So click Smart Dimension. I'm going to click this left line here and then the one next to it. And we want that space to be 0.5. And the book gives it 2 decimals, which you can change that in your settings, but we won't worry about that right now. We're just going to go 0.5. We'll just do 0.500 since they want us to. It's going to show up as 0.50 because in my settings right now I only have 2 decimal places showing. But let's see. So the next one, we're going to click this left line and then the next one over. And that space is going to be 2. Okay, and then you'll see it kind of messed things up because it made that space so much bigger. It moved everything over way further than I wanted to. So we're just going to grab and drag the stuff that we want to keep spaced out. Alright, if I can. There we go. So our next dimension is going to be to that first edge of the third tower, which is going to be 4. And then to the first edge of the last tower is going to be 6.5. So those are all of our horizontal dimensions. And you'll notice that we only have to define the width of this tower because we already gave them all that relation that they're all the same width. So we don't have to define the width of any of the subsequent ones. It already knows that they're the same as that first one. Next, we're going to add the vertical dimensions. So we're going to click our Smart Dimension tool again. And we're going to click on line 1, which is this bottom one, and line 2, which is this one here. It doesn't matter if we click this one or this one or this one because remember we made them all collinear. So we'll just click that first one since that's what the book says to do. And we're going to make that distance 0.5. And then, let's see, we're going to continue adding the dimensions that the book shows here on page 3-14 until all the lines are black. You don't have any of these blue lines up here. And it says fully defined right here. So if you don't have the book in front of you, I'll go ahead and add those so you can see what they're all supposed to be. So this one's going to be 1.5 for that last shortest tower. The next tower, they all kind of, again, go from tallest to shortest in height. So that next one is going to be 2.5. And this third one is going to be 3.5. And then the last one, take a wild guess, is going to be 4.5. Alright, and at this point your sketch should be fully defined. We've defined every dimension that we need in order to make it fully defined. So the next step, the book actually tells us how to hide the sketch relation symbols. Excuse me. So those are these little green squares you see all over the place. Those represent wherever you've added a relation. And you can click on it, or you can hover over it and it'll show you what it is. So this one is that collinear relation. We gave those 3 little lines, and you'll see each of them has that little box. These ones up here are the equal length relations for these lines at the top. And so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and hide those. We're going to go into View again, go to that Hide Show menu, and then we want to click Sketch Relations down here near the bottom, and those will all disappear. Alright, and then the next step, this is the really exciting part. Is everyone still with me on this sketch so far? Cool. Alright. Okay. But you've got it sketched out, so here. Cool. Alright. So this is the fun part. We're going to extrude our sketch. So we're going to make it 3-dimensional. So, one way you can get it into the middle of your screen, if it's not right now, is left click your sketch over here on the left, and then this little arrow pointing up, that means normal to. If you click it again, it'll flip it backwards, but if you click it, it'll put your sketch right in the middle of the screen like this. So now we're going to go to the Features tab up here next to the Sketch tab. So far we've pretty much just been working in the Sketch tab here. We're going to go over one to the Features tab, and we're going to go Extrude Boss/Base, this first command right here. So we're going to click on that one, and you can see it kind of moved it so you can see the 3D-ness of it. And we have this menu here on the left. So we're going to extrude. We're going to do what it says to do in the book. We're going to extrude from the sketch plane. So that's the plane that you drew your sketch on, your front plane. Sometimes you draw your sketch on a plane, but you don't want to extrude from there. You want to extrude from somewhere else. So that's why there's different options there. The direction you can change with these little arrows. So if it's coming toward you or if it's going away from you, which way it extrudes can be flipped with those. And then we're going to use blind, which means that it's just going out to a given distance that you told it. Up to vertex or up to surface, it's going to extrude it to a predefined spot in your little SolidWorks world here. Offset from surface means that it's going to extrude it, but it's going to be offset from where you sketched it or from something else. So we'll go through all of those later. I don't want to overload you too much right now, but right now we're just going to do the blind, which is the simplest way to extrude something. And then the depth is going to be 6 inches. So in here we'll just put 6. And you can see it's turned into a 3D shape. We do want to enable the reverse direction, so we want it going away from our sketch, or away from us, from the sketch. So click those 2 arrows there. And then we're going to click OK. And now we have a 3-dimensional little set of stairs or something. I don't know. Not really stairs, but it's a 3-dimensional shape. So pretty cool. Is everyone with me there? Alright. Yeah, if you're stuck or anything, feel free to speak up, but yeah, okay. Yeah, I know we're kind of covering a lot. So, you know, if you need to rewatch it as many times as you need to. And you can always come in and talk to me on Wednesday. I would also encourage you, if you have the book or if you're getting the book in the near future, to go through this exercise on your own. The book explains it really well, and so you should be able to get through it without me talking you through it. It just helps a lot of people to kind of see it in action, so that's why we kind of go through these. But if you've watched the lecture and you saw me do it, and then you go back and do the exercise in the book on your own, that might be easier for you. So everybody kind of has their own style of figuring things out, but whatever works for you. So the next step here, if you're ready, is we're going to sketch on a face of our drawing. So any of these faces, any of these flat surfaces, can become a new plane on which to create a sketch. So we're going to select the face that is indicated on page 317, which is this one right here. And we're going to kind of tilt this down a little bit so we can see it. And we're going to go back to our sketch tab. We're going to say new sketch and put it on that face that we had selected. So next we're going to select the circle command up here. So we want a regular circle, that first one. It gives you two options. You can do a regular circle or a perimeter circle. We're just going to do the regular one. And then we're going to start near the center of the face we selected. So as close to the center as you can reasonably guess. We'll dimension it later. And drag outward to draw a circle. So now you can see if you move this around, you've got a circle on that face. Alright, and then we'll turn the page. So we're on 318. We're going to click OK. We're going to select Smart Dimension. And we're going to add a diameter dimension to the circle. So we'll click that outside edge, come out here, and we're going to call it 2, since that's what the book wants. And then we're also going to dimension where it is on this plane, or on this face. So we're going to click the center, and then we're going to say how far is the center from the top edge. So we click the top edge, and the book says 2.25, so we'll type that in. And then we're going to do how far the center is, so click the center from the side. So click the side, and that's going to be 3, and we're already pretty close. And now it's fully defined. You can see everything's turned black. Alright. Now we're going to select the line command up here. And we're going to sketch the 3 lines shown at the bottom of page 318. So we're basically going to make a little little rectangular base to the circle, if that made sense. So let's see. And the directions say select the line command and sketch the 3 lines as shown below. Snap to the hidden edge of the model when it lights up. So the hidden edge is, you'll see when I hover over this line here, it turns orange. We can snap our line to that line so that when we draw it, it lands right on it. So we're going to start, if you hover over the corner, I guess, side of this circle, you'll see where the furthest right point is, or that's left, I guess, furthest left point of the circle. Oops, and I just clicked when I didn't mean to, so I made myself a little baby line there. We're going to delete that. We're going to start again. So we're going to hover over that side, and you've got that little orange dot there that you can just see under the tip of my pencil. And we're going to draw a line going straight down. And it's going to hopefully, I'm not getting my snap that I want here. Okay, so you can go out and hover over that line and then it'll show up. So we want to snap to there. We want to snap to where we're just below that side of the circle. So you see how I'm kind of hovering over things to find them? And then once I find them, that dotted line shows up for reference for me. So I'm going to put this line right here. We've got our bottom line there, and then we're going to go back up and we're just going to snap onto that far right side of the circle. So now I've got my little shape there that I want. And because we use that snap function to kind of put it on pre-existing, already defined parts of the model, we don't have to actually dimension anything. We're still fully defined. So you can see that shape that I drew there. If we go like and look directly at the front of this model, you can actually see it through the other little steps. It's kind of cool. It turns translucent for you so you can see what you've drawn. So now we're going to use the trim entities command, and we're going to trim away a little bit of that circle so that this is just one solid shape instead of a circle with lines underneath. So that's right here, the little scissors icon. We're going to go trim entities, and we're going to select the trim to closest option, which is this last one down here. And then we're going to click on the line that we want to trim away. So that's that bottom part of that circle. And it disappeared, and now we just have one shape there, and you can see the inside is gray, indicating that it's just one solid shape. Click OK. And then the last step of this exercise is we're going to actually extrude that little sketch that we just did. Any questions so far? Okay, cool. I hope everyone's not completely lost. But we'll... Okay, no worries. The thing that's tricky with Twitch too, and I know this is happening on your end, I can't tell on my end, but there's a lag between Twitch and the audio through Discord. So I try to like go slowly so that Twitch can catch up with what I'm saying as you see it. But it's tricky because I don't really know how far behind I am, so. All right. So the last step is going to be to extrude that little shape we just drew. And so we're on page 320. So we're going to go back into our features tab here. We're going to click that extruded boss base tool again. And you can see you get this yellow outline of sort of where it's going to go right now. And we do want to change some stuff there. So it's going to be extruded from the sketch plane. And the direction is going to be, let's see. I think we want through all this time. So we're going to go through all, and you'll see it goes to the end of our model here. So if you extrude something through all, it literally just goes to the last point that you have material to go to. And this actually tells you what all the options do. So let's just go through this because it's kind of helpful. The up to next option just goes to the next object that would block whatever it is you're extruding. So it like makes this kind of like a solid, and when you extrude you can only go to that wall and then it gets blocked. The up to vertex option means you're extruding it to a point that you select. So right now it looks like the vertex that it has selected is this wall here, but instead we can have it extrude to this wall here, and we can actually click on our shape and move it and drop it where we want it to end. So that's not exactly to the wall, but that kind of changed things. Let's say I'm kind of having a hard time getting this to work. So I clicked on this wall here, and it's going to extrude right to that wall. So you can do a lot with that because you can use it to extrude to any point that you select rather than having to give it a dimension. Up to surface is going to go, I guess it's similar to up to vertex. It's going to go to whatever surface you select. So I think a vertex would be like more of a point, and then a surface is going to be you select a plane where you want it to end. Sorry, I'm been talking too much. I'm getting a little hoarse here. All right. The offset from surface option, you can offset your where you want it to go to by a defined amount. So like right now it's 3.82 inches from this wall that's pink right now. So we could make that 5 inches, and it would be back here. We could make it 1.75, and it'll come out to here. So it's 1.75 inches from this wall. So you can play around with that too. And then you can also do up to body, which is up to another model. So you only have one model in here, so we can't really demonstrate that one, but we'll just skip that for now. And then mid-plane means it's going to extrude in both directions equally from where your drawing started. So you can see it's going both ways equally. We can make it a little more extreme here. Let's do 5. So now it's 5 inches from either side of the sketch there. So I think what the book wants us to do is just select that first option, which is through all, after they went through all those different options. So it's going to go right to the end there. And we're going to click OK. And now we have a 3D thing with a little rounded thing inside of it. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it kind of does. I don't really know what this is supposed to be. I think it's just an exercise where they make a random shape, but it's kind of cool. All right, so the last thing, I think this is the last thing, so we'll stop after this, I promise. The last thing they show us how to do is add fillets, which are rounded edges. And to my knowledge, in welding and like in mechanical drawings and stuff like that, it is pronounced fillet, whereas if you're talking about like a piece of meat, it would be a fillet. But for whatever reason, we pronounce this fillet. So a little piece of information for you for today, I guess. And yeah, I've never heard otherwise. Everybody I know that is, works in like mechanical engineering pronounces this type of shape a fillet. So I'm pretty sure that's correct. But anyway, we're going to select our fillet tool, which is right here on our features tab, kind of just to the right of middle. And you can also do a chamfer, which instead of rounding an edge, it kind of blunts an edge. It gives it a flat angle. Right now we're going to do fillet. And they want us to give the whole thing filleted edges. So we're going to select the constant size fillet, which is this first button, and then either drag to select to highlight all edges of the model, or press the shortcut key Control A to select all. So we'll click in this box, and I'm going to go Control A because it's easier. You can see it selecting everything there. It's a little slow on the uptake, but there we go. And radius size is going to be 0.125. We're gonna enable the full preview checkbox, which that is enabled. And the parameter is symmetric. We don't need to worry about that right now. So leave everything else the same in here. We're going to click OK. And now you can see all my edges are rounded to a radius of 0.125 inches. Kind of cool, huh? I always get so excited when I'm drawing things and I like see them coming together. I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but yeah. So, and then again, you can go up here and you can change your appearance. So we can change, we're basically changing the background. So our part looks the same, but the lighting is different. This is what we kind of did at the beginning, but this is kind of fun. We're just going to go back to plain white. And then you can edit the appearance of your part. That opens up this menu over here. And we can, let's see, give it a texture, which is kind of weird. I don't really want to do that. So let's go to color. We can change the color of it. You can also change the material. I'm going to X out of that. I don't actually want to. But you can change the material too, and that changes how it looks quite a bit because, let's see, not to be too overwhelming, but I just get carried away with this stuff. Can't remember. Let's see. I can't remember where it is in here. It's been a while since I did this step. Oh, material right here. Okay, so in your regular menu, don't do what I just did. Just stay in your regular menu. Go to material, and right now it's not specified. So we can right click and then edit material, and you'll get a box that pops up, hopefully. All right, and you can pick a different material for it to be made out of. So let's try gray cast iron because that's kind of cool. And see how it now like looks totally different. You can see the texture is like a little rough, like cast iron. You can do rubber. Let's just do this one. It's basically just rubber. You can make it out of wood. Those are a little cheesy because it's like super fake looking, but whatever. But these are cool. The different metals are really fun to play with. Cast carbon steel, very light in color. It's kind of nifty. Alloys are fun. Those are all aluminum alloys. There's a million of them. All right, let's close that. Let's try copper alloys. So you can just do straight copper. Anyway, it's yes, you can. So you can go, there's a couple things you can do. You can go back into one of your sketches. If you click on that sketch, you can see the dimensions of the sketch. That's the simplest option. You go to the sketch, and you can go do that little up arrow where it centers the sketch. Zoom out a little so we can actually see these dimensions. So pretty much you just go into your tree over here on the left, and your first extrude that you did is going to be that first sketch will be nested under it, and then the second extrude will have the second sketch nested under it, and so on. So if you have a really complex model with a lot of different features, they'll have sketches nested underneath them, so you just have to expand that to see the sketch and the dimensions. So, are you talking about like how far you extrude the whole thing? Um, okay. Yeah, so when you go into extrude something, and we can go back and edit it right now. So I'll left click this little window pops up with these icons, and then that first one is edit feature, so I can edit the extrude that I already did. And you can see we extruded it 6 inches here. I probably kind of skimmed past that because I wasn't really thinking about it. But we extruded it 6 inches, and we can change that. We can extrude it. We can go 7 inches, and it'll go a little further. Or we can do like 12. Um, does that answer your question? All right, cool. Yeah, so yeah, it just gets defined when you do the extrusion. You select how far you want it to go in there. Any other questions? All right, let's go over this week's assignment real quick. Um, so it's going to be lab 2. And your project this week is going to be, actually, I got to change the due date. So this will be due next Monday by midnight. So we're going to reverse engineer a light switch or outlet cover. So you can use any light switch or outlet cover in your house, remove it from the wall, and measure all the dimensions on it, and then try to model your part um, to the exact specifications of the cover that you took off the wall and measured. Um, and then when you're done, just submit the part file and a JPEG of your part. Does that make sense to everyone? Pretty straightforward. Cool. All right. So now you know how to make things three-dimensional, so you'll want to sketch the 2D, shape of your cover, and then you'll extrude it to make it an actual 3D part. And you can also, if it has rounded edges, you can use that fillet feature to round the edges off a little, and so on and so forth. So should be pretty straightforward. And as always, message me with any questions, and come into the lab if you need to. I'm here every Wednesday, so. All right. Anything else? Did I forget anything? Is everyone happy? Cool. No, not at all. Absolutely. All right. Is everyone else? I'll go ahead and stop streaming if everyone's good to go. All right. Everyone have a great week. I'll post this tonight and I'll send you a message.